Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Jesse, also known as Sublime, and in today's video, we got another MTT. Now, I know I've been making a lot of these videos, but quite frankly, I've been making the final table quite a bit. Now, this one was a free roll. Now, if you guys don't know what free rolls are, essentially you don't have to pay anything to get into them, and you get a chance to win $1 million. So I decided to join it up just to see, how people play in these free rolls. I've never played in one before, so I was like, it would be a fun experience to do this. Well, lo and behold, we made it all the way to the final table, and I believe we were coming into the final table in second place of the tournament. The guy to the right of me here, his name is FAQ Hater, so also known as Fuck You Hater, just kind of in a term that people wouldn't see it in a sense, but you have to really look into his name to get it. But him and I have played many final tables together. We see a lot of each other on the MTTs, and yeah, it was fitting that we were sitting next to each other here. And this game was a whole roller coaster. We get an ace 2 here, not a strong hand, but still ace high is excellent. You always want to have an ace in your hand, even if you have a 2. Because even say somebody has queen king and an ace shows up, you're automatically beating their hand. So I always love to have an ace in my hand, and especially when they're connected like this with a flop like this, 3 4 6. Basically a 5 puts us at a straight, an ace to 5 straight, but also a 5 puts us at a 2 to 6 straight. So immediately here I throw out a bet for 9,000 or 11,000 because he raised it to 2,000. Noticing his chip stack was only 17,000, I said there's no way he calls it on a board like that, especially if he only has a pair of 6s, a pair of 3s, a pair of 4s, because 2-5 is definitely in my range, especially since I was the big blind. So it just all made sense for him to fold that. We then get an ace 6 here, so we want to see the flop that we saw before. We want to see 2 3, or we want to see 2 3 4 and then a 5 show up. Luckily for us, a 2 5 and an ace shows up, so we got ace high and also a 3 4 does it for us on the straight. So I throw out a bet here for 5,000, and as you guys can see, my chip stacks kind of went up a bit over time, winning the smaller pots and just kind of re-raising people. And that's generally how a final table will work. People play a lot more tighter than they normally would at the beginning stages of an MTT. And yeah, so I'm taking that to full advantage right now. I'm kind of just raising whenever I can because I know people play tight, especially in a free roll when there's $1 million on the line. None of these guys have probably seen $1 million in their bankroll, so they're gonna play a lot more tighter than usual. We have a 4-9 here. Now, I didn't have to call anything, I just had to check. Luckily for us, we hit top pair on the board, so I throw out a bet for 5,000 here. It's about 10% of my chip stack, so nothing crazy. FAQ, we get one caller from the Mad Hatter. And what's FAQ gonna do here? He calls with the yellow chips to piss me off a little bit, but that's okay. Luckily for us, another 9 shows up. It's completely rainbow, but there's 2 hearts on the board, so I throw out a bet for 10,000 if anybody's drawing on a flush, just to make sure, if we do get a caller, it will be profitable for us. But lo and behold, and unfortunately for us, nobody ends up calling it. Mad Hatter asked me, "You have the 9, do you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." Showed him the 9 and laid the hand down, and we get to take that pot home as well. The next set of cards we got is a 5-2 on the small blind. Now, guys, when I say this is probably some of the best poker I've played, I want to say this is probably some of the best poker I've played. Okay, this hand was unbelievable, and it proved to me that, my skills of being able to wait somebody out and to really just watch how other people play comes into effect later on in these tournaments. The flop comes out 5-5-2. We flop the nuts. There's no other hand that's gonna beat us, especially on a rainbow flop. There's nothing else that's gonna beat us unless somebody has a 5 ace right now. Okay, so I check. Okay, now I'm hoping somebody has an ace in their hand at this point because I really want somebody to bet. Luckily for us, Old Man Texas ends up raising it to 4,000, and Good honey to our left ends up folding it, and then a queen shows up. So I'm hoping he has an ace queen in his hand, hoping he has trip queens, I'm hoping he has trip aces, something like that. He raises it to 8,000, and I immediately snap all in. Old Man Texas immediately snaps all in as well, so I know he has something good. He shows he has an ace, queen, and we end up taking that pot home with a full house on the flop, and boom, Old Man Texas gets eliminated. Our next set of cards though, we get the Snowman, and this is immediately after we hit a big flop. So I immediately raise it up to 10,000 now that I'm chip leader on the table. Good honey ends up folding it, and the Mad Hatter, he has to go all in. He doesn't though, and he ends up folding it. We get to take home all the blinds, all the antes, and I show him, hey, I had the Snowmans. It's one of my favorite hands in poker. Then after that, we get an ace-6, and you know, like I said, it's not a strong hand. Ace-6, definitely not a strong hand, but anytime you have an ace in your hand, it's a strong hand in my opinion. He ends up going all in. He only had 800 to call. So now we get to go see the flop. The flop comes out 4-4 ace. So we got ace pair, but if somebody has a 4, we're kind of screwed. Good honey ends up folding it, and fuck you hater ends up folding it. He shows he only had a king 7, so the only cards that could beat us at that point were a king and a 7 on a turn on the river, but that doesn't come out, and we end up taking that pot home, and we end up knocking out another person on this table. We're now down to the final 3, and this is where everything goes to shit. Okay, we get pocket 5s here on the small blind. We are the chip leader by a large margin. Both of those guys' chips combined don't even match what we have. I throw out a bet for 11,200. Good honey looks at his cards, ends up folding them away, and we get to show that we had the pocket 5s. Good raise by us. We then get 10-8 here on the button. I end up just calling it. Same with good honey, and we get to see a flop. So the flop comes out 4-2 ace. Everybody checks around. But you know what? I say screw it. I'm going to play like I have an ace. Good honey ends up folding it, and FAQ ends up calling it. Then a 10 shows out on the turn, so that's good for us. You know, I think if he would have had an ace, he would have bet into us, but he only has a... Oh, I'm not going to spoil it. He doesn't have an ace in his hand, but unbeknownst to us, a 4 comes out on the river, and this will be the demise of us. He ends up throwing out a bet for 25,000. Okay, 25,000. Now I thought I was betting into him like I had an ace, and I didn't have an ace, but I had a 10. I had second pair on the board. I deliberate. I think in my head, what should I do here? And I say, okay, he's not betting like he has an ace, so I end up calling him, and he shows over a queen 4. I show him I had a 10. Piss off for me, but it's whatever. You can't really predict those things, especially, you know, if he's calling you with a 4. Like I thought that he had a pocket pair in his hand, maybe 6s, 7s, 8s, something like that, but no. We get ace 7 of hearts here on the big blind, and I end up going all in because now I'm short stacked compared to FAQ. Good honey ends up calling me, and here's what happens. There's 2 hearts on the board. And then a jack shows up and ruins our day. We don't get to take that pot home. Good honey ends up doubling up. And the reason why I actually went all in with that hand was because Good honey said that he had to go, and he said he didn't have anything good in his hand. So I ended up just going all in because a7's fairly strong hand, especially suited. So I thought, you know, I was gonna do pretty good, but you know, you can't predict these things, right? So it is what it is. We then get ace 2. I snap all in. You guys know my philosophy. Aces are kings. And what does fucking hater do? What does FAQ hater do? He deliberates. He thinks. He's thinking. He ends up calling me. He shows queen jack. Flop comes out 2 king 8. Then a 9. then a 4. We end up winning that hand. With high card, we double up to 34,000 here. Or about 40,000. Yeah, 34,000-ish. Then I get ace 6. Again, you guys know my philosophy. Aces are kings. We have ace 6 in our hand. And again, bam, all in. We're short stacked. We got to make these tough calls. FAQ hater wants to get revenge, so he ends up calling me. And he shows an ace 2. Flop comes out. 3, 4, 5. I'm hoping a 2 shows up so we can split it. 2 doesn't show up. We end up losing it. It is what it is. I end up losing this game, but we came 3rd place in a tournament of 560 people. I consider that an accomplishment. That's a lot of people that you have to go through. We ended up winning 738,000 as you can 738,500 as you can see here for a tournament we didn't even have to pay to get into. So I think of that as a huge win. I was having a good time. I want to say thank you everybody for being subscribed to this channel, just being awesome fans, and you know, hopefully you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye bye now.